Hello, trombone students. This is a lesson to help you get caught up on Etude number 2 if you happen to miss last week's sectional. So the first thing, we're going to cover Etude 2, and the first thing that you need to look at is the key signature. And we see all the way down the page we've got one flat. And only one flat, which is important because a lot of times we're used to reading with more than one flat, so you've got to make sure that you're playing E naturals and A naturals throughout this etude, unless they're marked otherwise. So since we're starting over here at measure 9, let me see here. All right, we're over here at measure 9. It would be smart to go ahead and mark a natural above the E. Okay, and let's go ahead and do that over here too in measure 11. So here we are. Sorry, I'm like trying to look at two things at once, so the camera goes all nuts. But there's E natural. Okay. Also, in measure 11, you'll notice that right here. Oops, there we are. Right here we have an A flat marked, an accidental. And if you remember the rule, there's a rule in music that the accidental, this flat's going to carry until we have a bar line, so that all the A's written after this A will also be A flat until we have a bar line. And so over here, we have an A. And that's not A natural because that flat is still valid. It still carries until the bar line. All right. So I went ahead and marked that A flat because it's easy to miss that A flat. Okay. You might also mark the E natural over here in measure 12. And then you're ready to start processing the rhythms. Okay. All right. So the rhythms are the most difficult thing. We're in 4/4 time, and so that's good. We're used to this time signature, but it's a few things you may not have seen before. Okay, we're going to start right here in measure 9. You see these notes right here where they've got like a double bracket or a double beam. That's what we call it, a beam. My fault. Called it the wrong thing. I'm kind of tired, y'all. It's the end of the week. But the double beam, over here we've got a single beam. Those are 8th notes. But over here, you see how there's 2 beams? That means there's 16th notes. Okay? And it's so we just have to make sure we count that carefully. The way you would count 16th notes, if it was all 16th notes, you would count 1 E enda, 2 E enda, 3 E enda, 4 E enda. And really, you've got to get a metronome going. So let me turn on my metronome. I'm going real slow, y'all, because it's smart when you're first learning an etude or a difficult piece of music. It's smart to use a slower tempo when you start off. I'm not finding my metronome. Give me just a second. Let's see here. Here it is. All right, so I'm at 41 beats per minute. And at this tempo, measure 9 starts with a quarter note. Man, where's my pencil? There we go. Measure 9. I'm a mess. Measure 9 starts with a quarter note. So that would be a long quarter note. It would go 1, 2, and then we got these 16th notes. 2, E, and 3. Right here I'm on the F. The F is on 3, and now I have 8th notes. So that would go 3, and 4, and. If we put that together, we would go 1, 2, E, and 3, and 4, and. All right. Our 8th notes in this piece, we're going to play them separated or staccato, even though they're not marked. It's a stylistic decision. I recommend you go ahead and start playing them like da, 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 da. Get used to using your air to separate the notes, right? So you would stop your air. You'd blow it in kind of like little capsules of air, right? Or compressions of air. Okay? All right, so that covers this measure 9. That's not so bad. Trombones, I was talking to Mr. Gordon, one of our private teachers. He is going to want you to articulate this with, you see how there's a slur? Okay, well, A to G, he's going to want you to legato tongue the G. And put a little L above that. And then G to F, he's going to want you to natural slur. And now I've got this natural in the way, but you're going to legato tongue. You're going to legato tongue the E. So if I always say la on the legatos and da on the regular articulations, if I were going to tongue this, I would go da da la da. Whoops, da la la dom. That's kind of tricky. Da la la dom. Tongue, legato, slur, legato, tongue. That's kind of tricky. But if you want to get the articulation detailed, which is a good thing to do, you will go ahead and do that. Okay, some people might just legato tongue every note. They might go, you would tongue the A with a regular articulation, da, and then tongue, but then legato G, legato F, legato E, then tongue F. So that would sound like da, da, la, 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 da. You could also do it that way, although that's probably not the very best way. If you were desperate, it would do okay for you. Okay, so really you have, do what your private teacher says. Okay, is my advice on that. Okay, so let's move on to measure 10. We have a quarter note. That's easy, but then we have right here this. We've got an eighth note, but it has a dot next to it, so it's a dotted eighth note. See, there's one beam there, but over here there's two beams. That's a 16th note. So a dotted 8/16 beamed together. All right, that might be a new rhythm that you don't understand how to count. Well, here's how you count it. All right, your dotted 8th note, well, any dot adds half the value. Normally in 4/4 time, an 8th note equals 1/2 of a beat. And we have to add half of 1/2 if we've got a dot, right? So half of 1/2 is 1/4. Okay, so if you get a common denominator, you would have over here, you would turn the half into 2/4, 2/4 plus 1/4, and that equals 3/4. Okay, and so a dotted eighth note. Oh, I drew a dotted quarter. Man, I am really tired, y'all. Sorry about that. That's a dotted eighth. You're probably like, that's not a dotted eighth note, Mr. Kruger. That's a dotted quarter. And it was, but now I've fixed it, okay? So there's your dotted eighth note, and it gets 3/4 of a beat, 3/4. And we count quarters. Quarters of a beat are 16th notes, so that's 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a. Those are, I'm counting in fourths of a beat, okay? Or quarters of a beat. So over here at 10, let me turn that metronome on. It would go like this. 1, 2, 3, off. Or then the next note on beat 1. And during beat 2 on this dotted eighth, you need to think 2 E and. You got to think 1, 2 E and 3. Position that while I count, and count with me. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3. Good. Then 11's gonna go 1, 2 E and 3 and 4 and 1. And here we have this rhythm again. So that's the dotted eighth. 1 E and 2. B flat, A flat G, F, E natural, right? 1, 2, and 3 off. All right. Hopefully that helps you. Make sure you pay attention to this articulation right here. You could, again, you could do a legato tongue on G, natural slur F, legato tongue E, or you could just legato tongue the G, F, E. You could do that either way. Ask your private teacher. So da, da, la, 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 dum. This F has to be tongued firmly. Tongue that F firmly and make it separated. Da, so like this. Da, da, la, 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 da, 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 dum. All right. Hopefully that helps you learn this so that you can have a good test next week. Best of luck.